Episode 9.
Straight Spanish.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean,
Me llamo Jason Otero. Yo soy puertorriqueño, pero no hablo mucho español.
please stop that.
Why?
Well, one, I'm assuming that a large portion of our listening audience also doesn't speak Spanish.
You know what happens when we assume?
We're correct most of the time?
No.
I mean, I know where you're trying to go
I'm
with
not
this.
going to say it, but you know.
But that being said, I still feel like you were just letting your inner Puerto Rican out there.
That's right. I mean, if you got it, yo soy boricua.
Does a super pale blonde dude get that?
Wow. Wow.
I'm just saying. Like,
Ball card show. Can we come together to cancel Gary?
You can try.
If ever there was a time to be unified.
Listen, you guys would not believe this because if you see this dude, he looks like what he is, a dude born in Podunk, Indiana. Like, he's a
wow.
He is a
you know
white
what?
dude.
Let's go ahead and make fun of the rural settings in Indiana while we're at it.
No, I'm just saying. Now, his grandfather,
I also lived in New York,
Puerto
Maryland, and Ohio, so go ahead.
legitimate, like born, raised in Puerto Rico, but Jason got none of those genetics.
And what are those genetics, Gary?
Well, usually a slightly.
This is unreal.
a slightly.
This is unreal to me.
Usually a slightly.
This
darker
is how you
hair
want to
color,
start?
A slightly darker hair color, and maybe not skin that instantly crisps when
I
it
do
is.
not burn, I tan.
Okay, if by tan you mean turn pink, then yes, you do tan.
Okay, well, I'm offended, and I know that the rest of you listening are offended
not
as well.
offended
Yeah,
at
they
all.
are. Yes, they are, 100%.
Okay.
Well, this is the ball card show, as you can tell.
Getting off to a great start with episode 9,
Signing
boys.
you up for some critical race theory classes as soon as we're done with this. Do you a world of good. Okay. Ball cards. If you collect ball cards, getting back into it, been into it forever, haven't gone anywhere, we're going to start talking about them now. Enough about me.
Well, that's fine.
All I
Nobody
said
wants to
was
know about
Nueve.
You did. But then you proceeded to give us like 2 sentences, too.
I said, my name's Jason. I'm Puerto Rican, but I don't speak much.
Did anybody other than you know that you said that? If you were listening to the podcast and you understood what Jason said, please jump on the Facebook page and tell us that you understood what Jason said. And Mark, you don't count.
Like, you're one step away from being somebody that's like, I need you to speak American. That's how you sound right now.
That's not true at all.
That is, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like,
You're painting yourself in a light that you don't want to be painted in.
the issue that you're dealing with right now is the expectation that I care.
Yeah. Anyway, big things have happened. We thought it was big news last week when we talked about it. This huge deal going on with Fanatics, taking over the Topps licensing. And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, they did.
They did. And as the week went on, more and more news started leaking out as far as how that Fanatics deal with Major League Baseball went down. Not only did Fanatics outbid Topps by almost 10x, but they also went ahead and they cut the MLBPA and the MLB in with equity stakes. That's what pulled the trigger. That's what made it happen. Then, as the week continued on, we got news that Fanatics had also reached a deal with the NBA to get the exclusive license from the NBA and the NBA PA. That's huge because the NBA card market is what drives the entire market. And Panini finds themselves in a weird spot. But, you know, as of a couple of days ago, they still had the NFL. Okay. Well, now here in the last 48 hours, it looks like Fanatics is going to get the NFL exclusively as well.
Just when you thought Panini was the monopoly.
Yeah, and they really were to an extent, but it's going to be weird. And a lot of people have tried to figure out what the next step are. I've heard people say crazy things to make unlicensed NBA. And here's why. The reason that they would make MLB card because MLB had a deal with Panini did. And the Players Association with Panini let them use player images, names, and seats that they were in. But you couldn't use team names or team logos because they didn't have a deal with Major League Baseball itself. Well, now they don't even have a deal starting in 2026 with the Players Association. So if they make cards, they're just going to be pieces of cardboard with nothing on them.
Well, or I had this thought. Do you remember the Upper Deck where the kids got to draw the cartoons?
Oh, God.
Bring it back.
Yeah, the problem is that's still considered name and likeness.
I don't know. Some of those
Can't
cars
use it.
didn't look anything like the
Yeah,
players.
that's fair. That's fair. But I think what the most likely outcome is going to be, people are trying to figure it out, don't have any inside knowledge of this other than just a general understanding after 20 years in the business world. I think that Fanatics is likely to buy out Panini completely and to buy out the trading card portion of Topps, which won't cripple Topps. Topps was in the process of going public through Mudrick Capital, and that got canceled after last week's announcement. Like the bottom fell out of that. They withdrew their filing with the SEC. That's off the table. But trading cards are only about 30% of Topps business.
I had no idea about
Yeah,
this. TikTok
candy is their biggest thing. They make about 70% of their business is candy.
All right, what are some of the big ones?
Big League Chew, Top.
Love it.
Yeah,
Big
Sweet
League
Tarts.
Chew is the best gum you'll ever have for 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, the
grape?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grape was legit. It hits different, and then it goes away real different
Immediately.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, that's great. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got like half a pack of it just wadded into the side of your face.
Yeah.
You can't do any to spit it out. You risk choking. It's just there.
Is it the only tobacco-inspired product that's still a kid's candy, or do they still have candy cigarettes?
I'm not sure whether they still have candy cigarettes, but I mean, they make the little beef jerky tins that look like dip, and the beef jerky is made to look like dip.
And as long as there's pretzel rods, there'll be cigars for kids to have at lunch.
right, exactly. So I
Check
think
me
that
out, bro. I'm smoking this pretzel.
realistically, I think that's probably what's most likely to happen, mostly because the value that's there in the brands is huge. If they're able to buy Topps trading card line, they'll still be able to have a Bowman product, which is huge in the market. And I can't imagine that Fanatics would go into this and say, not only are we going to do all this, but we're going to start completely fresh with everything. That's a huge undertaking.
But what's stopping them from that?
Well, nothing's stopping them from that other than good business sense. Why not utilize these brands that have huge followings if you can?
All right, let's play a game. I just thought of this.
Okay, fire away.
All right, so Fanatics is going through the Topps products.
Yep.
They're going through the Panini products. Let's look at the 3 major sports, and I'm going to give you the sport.
Yep.
And if it's Panini or Topps, and you're going to tell me which product they should not continue with.
Okay. Let's go.
Football.
They should not continue with Prestige.
I would go with Certified.
Certified's a better product than
Certified's the
Prestige.
ugliest logo that's ever existed.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, but the product holds better value.
Yeah, I don't like Certified at all. All right. Basketball. Panini.
That's a tough one. I would say, and it's a high-end product, but I hate it. Noir. I hate Noir.
I would have to agree that I hate it. It is
It's the Allen and
caviar
Ginter.
budget with Inception taste.
Yes, it's literally
I'll say it again
awful.
because you're moving right past that, but that was good.
It was. I agreed with
Caviar budget, or National Treasures budget,
you. Inception taste.
Inception taste.
Yeah, it's a bad product. If I wanted a card with pictures of people's sneakers on it, I would collect pictures of sneakers. That's not what I'm doing.
I'm with you on that.
So yeah, there you go. What's
all
next?
right, Topps baseball.
Oh, Big League. Big League's
Yeah,
the
think about
worst
it.
product across all products.
Well, what about? Hold on. What is the what's the Panini one that's the equivalent of that? Classics.
Yeah, but they haven't made it for 3 or 4 years because they
Okay.
wised up.
They know.
Yeah, it's trash.
They know.
Yeah. Yeah, Big League's awful.
Yeah.
Although, I'm not going to lie, I did buy an Otani Big League rookie and an Acuna Big League rookie last week, and I paid $10 total for them. So I felt pretty good about that.
That's not bad.
No, I felt pretty good about that.
All right. Well,
And
now
the
we know.
Otani's gradable, so it's even
Well,
better.
whenever the Fanatic guy, Rick Rubin, reaches out.
You mean Mark Rubin?
No, I like to call him Rick Rubin because that's way cooler.
Rick Rubin's a big bearded fat producer.
Beastie Boys, Fanatics. Rick Rubin's in everything.
Yeah, Rick Rubin. Johnny Cash. The best Johnny Cash albums ever made were produced by Rick Rubin.
Yeah, he's legit.
Yeah, he is
He
legit.
was on this season of Dave.
Was he really? I haven't watched the new
You gotta
season of
watch it.
Dave.
Hi,
I
I'm
need
Dave.
to. Listen, season 1 was amazing. I am a nearly 45-year-old, middle-aged, Midwestern, just white dude who listens
Prejudice.
to old country. I'm not prejudiced at all, and you know this.
Assumptive,
Assumptive, yes.
privileged.
maybe a little, but I recognize it, which counts for something, right?
So do you want to talk about what you started the episode with, or
No, I'm good.
justification? That's fine.
But I listen to old country music, but I also love me some Lil Dicky. To my wife's ever chagrin. We'll be on, so Jason's going to make fun of this, so I'm going to preempt it. We ride a Can-Am Spyder.
For those who don't know, that's a reverse tricycle.
It's awesome. We just got a brand new one. We had a 2014. We just got a brand new one this year. And we get on the bike, and my wife's behind me and has no control of the radio, and I immediately turn Spotify on and fire up Lil Dicky at full blast, and she starts smacking me in the back of the head until I put it on Chris Stapleton. But I love me some Lil Dicky.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's Dave.
Where were we? Rick Rubin.
You were
Dave.
asking me questions
Yes.
about products to get
Yes,
rid of.
Yes. All right.
So,
moving right along, essentially the monopoly is up in the air. What will happen?
an even bigger monopoly is happening.
Yeah, something much bigger than we're seeing. So the game is going to completely change. It'll be interesting to see if
We've got a few years before that really kicks in. The one thing that I do think is going to happen is that unless, and here's the caveat to this, unless Fanatics reaches a deal with Panini soon, I think that the next 4 years will be Panini just squeezing every penny they can out of this market.
it's gonna be real bad.
Just overproducing product and just absolutely squeezing every penny they can out of it. So this is something to really keep in the back of your minds. If you are collecting as an investment and Fanatics does not reach a buyout deal soon with Panini, limit your investing to numbered cards, autographs, and short prints if you're buying singles. And if you are buying sealed product, stick with the big names, and I would probably stay away from retail if you're holding it.
Wow.
Well, have you not seen how select basketball is this year?
Yeah.
You want to talk about a market flood? Oh, my gosh.
This is going to be 1989 Upper Deck baseball for the next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So
They're going to still be doing 1920 NBA rookies.
Right.
Still chasing Zion and Ja.
It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be products and cards worth buying and holding, because there will be. But you need to be very selective. The days of just grabbing a base Prism rookie card and 10Xing it when you grade it are gone. And if they continue to produce, you're not even going to 2X it.
And on the flip side of that, don't forget, if you like collecting it, if Panini has a product that you love, there's no
buy it.
guarantee it'll be around. Buy it.
Yeah, that's why I say collecting for an investment. If you just collect because you like to collect, I know guys who collect and they have thousands of cards, and once a week they just go grab a box of their cards and flip through them because they like to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. If that's what makes you happy and you're not worried about value, do that. Have fun with it.
Have a lot of fun with it.
You should. I mean, if
Do you
this
have fun
hobby,
doing that? Do you go back through your stuff?
I do, because I dig through Bowman every year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite product. And if you aren't having fun with collecting, if you're miserable in it,
If
you're
it's work.
Yeah, if you're spending money that you don't have, if you're getting into breaks with money you don't have, hoping you're going to hit a monster to get yourself out of the hole, go to Gamblers Anonymous. You need help. And I'm not saying that facetiously. Like, if the hobby is more of an addiction and it's not fun, this is a really bad time to be in the hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, the volatility with the mergers that are taking place, the acquisitions, the licensing deals, it's a little dicey out there.
And I know that kind of took a dark, serious turn for a minute, but I have seen too many guys in that boat. I have seen people from this hobby lose their family. I've seen people lose their life. And I don't, again, I'm not trying to be dark, but in all seriousness, if you find yourself in that position, it's time to hit the pause button.
Yeah, it got real heavy.
It did, but it's
You
important.
are like 1.5 habanero mango ciders deep.
In the El Chavo.
Wow, bro.
It's what it's called, El Chavo.
You are on a roll.
Look, listen, we're going to post
You want to go
picture.
to Chi-Chi's and
We're
get
gonna-
some salsa
we're
after this?
There's no Chi-Chi's anymore,
I know.
bro. But we're going to post a picture of this so that everybody will see that I'm not just making that up. It's El Chavo. That's the name of this cider.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the can. You're not going to agree with me. You want me to look bad.
I just said mango habanero.
Okay, so on to next subject. What do we got?
All right. next subject is check out these awesome episodes that you can pick up, these series podcasts for the Press Play Podcast Network.
Check them out.
Want to hear more about your favorite TV shows and movies that are on countless streaming services?
Then listen to Up Next with your new favorite hosts, me, Kristen Aviles.
And me, Christina Walter.
Every other week, we'll highlight one genre, but 2 movies or TV shows, one old and one new.
We'll let you know what's hot and what's not from your favorite
or least favorite
streaming services.
And be sure to stay tuned to the end of each episode where we shout out an artist whose name you should know for their talent in the industry.
So follow us to stay up to date with your favorite hosts from Up Next,
a part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. That was quick.
Yeah.
I want to do some pop or drop, and it's all baseball.
All
If you want to
baseball
talk
all
about
the
football,
time.
screw you. If you want to talk about basketball, get out of my house right now.
Well, the good news is when it comes to basketball, there's nothing really to talk about right now. And when it comes to football, we're in that weird kind of spot. But baseball's coming into playoffs here soon. Everybody's kind of chasing down, and there's some guys that are going to be up for contract extensions or to opt out of contracts. And I know that I'm usually the guy you're throwing stuff at, and we're going to throw some stuff at me too, but I'm going to throw the first one at you. Mm-hmm. This is a guy you wanted to talk about, so let's talk about him. The Cincinnati Reds, via several other teams before he got here, Nick Castellanos.
Nick Castellanos. Interesting things are happening. He's having a great year.
But what is he? You're supposed to tell us what he is before you go into why. Is he a pop or not?
Nick Castellanos is a pop.
He's a pop.
He's a pop.
Tell us why, Jason.
And usually when we're talking about a pop, it's not somebody that's kind of been under the radar and then they're getting a hot streak. A lot of times that's like the time to sell. You've been sitting on the card. But I have a theory, and I'm sticking to it, that Nick Castellanos is a pop. So this guy's having an incredible year. It's no surprise if you've been following baseball at all. Had an up and down, chasing down the wild card, seeing what can happen. He's batting .320, 24 home runs, 131 hits, just killing the ball. And
Didn't he miss a few weeks too? Wasn't he injured for a little while?
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so he's having an incredible year. He's in the middle of a contract, something like $64-68 million on 4 years, and he has the option of what he's going to do after the end of this season.
So he can void the last 2 years.
He can void the last 2 years, and rumor has it he's going to be looking to free agency. Now, as hot as he is right now, I wouldn't be surprised. So if you're turning down 32 on 2, you're expecting a bigger contract. Some agent's talking to somebody. Somebody's telling you it's worth causing the drama to shop around. I have a hunch Nick Castellanos is going to end up in a big market team. Your Yankees, your Dodgers, something to that effect. Mets, yes, some big market team that's going to give him that big contract. So why is that a big pop, right? Do we think he's going to be a stud forever? I'm not saying that. He's a few years in. Was he like 29? He's not, he's not a young player. He's kind of in the middle of his prime, but
his stuff is super undervalued right now.
Super accessible. For example, you can hop on. I was just checking it out. 2012 Bowman Chrome First PSA 10s, anywhere from like $27 to $37.
As a matter of fact, as we were talking about this episode and show prepping and we were looking at this, I was really surprised at those numbers. I jumped on while we were show prepping and bought a 2012 Bowman Chrome First Blue Wave. I paid $20 for it.
Yeah. So the hype around him coming out of a small market team, which I don't like to say about Cincinnati, but it's true.
It is.
Coming out of a small market team, if he signs one of these, $100 million contracts, something massive, and he goes into a big market, that card is going to spike.
Yeah.
This is not the long-term hold. This is the pop because there is a huge upside in free agency, him signing a large contract, him getting the press and hype going into, and I think the time you buy it is right now, and I think the time you sell it is spring training of next year when he signed a contract and he's starting with a big market team.
Or if it happens over the winter meetings, the owners' meetings. Think about what happened with Francisco Lindor last year when the Indians traded him to the Mets. He's had a terrible season, like the worst season of his career. His stuff's still 30% higher than it was when he played for the Indians.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pop. Nick Castellanos, if you haven't checked it out, look it up. You can get some 2012 Bowman Chrome firsts on the cheap, and that's the PSA 10 price. If you're going to invest and you're thinking of a more short-term hold and a flip, buy the PSA 10. You know, we aren't lovers of all things PSA here. That's fine. But when you're talking about flipping a card, a PSA 10 is the standard, the highest value that card is going to sell for as of now.
Yeah.
So pick up the PSA 10. Grab if you're really thinking about a short-term flip, grab 2 or 3 of these. I mean, you could get 3 of these for $100, sit on them for a few months, and you may be sitting on, a
$300 flip. Yeah, it's one of those things where, and when we're talking about things to buy, we know everybody's on a different budget, but for most of us, if you're in this hobby consistently and you're buying and selling product consistently, spending $100 or $200 shouldn't kick you in the pocket too hard.
Right, especially if you're excited about somebody and you're buying graded.
Yeah.
Graded cards, so it's not guaranteed like this, but I almost view it as a rental.
Right. Well, and Jason made a comment while we were show prepping that's so true about that particular product. 2012 Bowman Chrome was not a product that was super heavily produced. So it's not, if you go search on eBay for firsts of Nick Castellanos, you might find 100 of them. If you go search for firsts of somebody that's hot this year, like Austin Martin, you're going to find 12,000 of them. So there's some supply issues and population issues there that come into play as well. So,
all right, enough of me. Enough of me talking.
Now we're on to the expert.
I've already given you guys such valuable information. You better refi your house. You better pull out a home equity line of credit, and you better triple down on Castellanos. That could be the kiss of death. Something horrible is going to happen.
And here we go for our CYA. Nothing we say should be taken as investment advice. Seek advice from a professional.
Yeah, what he said. Bobby Witt Jr., not a new name.
Nope.
But definitely one to keep an eye on. What are you thinking?
I think Bobby Witt Jr. is a pop. His stuff has gotten hot. I do not necessarily think buying his raw stuff right now is a pop unless you can find it really cheap. The difference between his raw stuff and PSA 9 and PSA 10s is not drastic. Whereas a lot of guys, you're going to get a 5 to 7x bump for a PSA 10. His is more like a 3 to 4. You can get his raw Chrome cards for $20. His Mojos, which are from the mega boxes, for about $40. And you can get a PSA 10 Chrome, not a Mojo, but a Chrome for $180. The Mojos are going for $210. Hasn't been called up yet. I think that he likely will get a September call up this year. He has just destroyed the minors, and it's been consistent. Every level he's gone up, he has continued to produce and gotten better and better. One of my friends is a AAA umpire, and that's what he does for a living.
Fancy.
He is fancy. He's really not fancy. Cody, if you're listening, shout out. But
don't ever do that again.
When I
mean, you can shout somebody out, but
don't do
voice.
a shout out. You don't like that?
It was uncomfortable.
I always ask Cody for his opinion on guys that are in the minors that I like because he sees them from 3 feet away. Most of the time he's behind home plate. Occasionally he's on third, but most of the time he's behind home plate. And when he tells me a guy is the real deal, and my eyes tell me the guy is a real deal, I'm sinking money in. And Bobby Witt Jr. is one of those guys.
Wow.
To me, I think he's got huge. You look at the numbers that Wander Franco's cards did when he got called up. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have the same type of hype when he gets called up. So he's a pop.
Big pop there.
Yep.
Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez is a drop for me, and here's why. I just Jack Morris that, didn't I?
Do you want me to do it?
No, I don't want either one of us to do it because I feel like I totally Jack Morris that. That's my bad, guys.
Do you want me to do
that
it?
That one did feel that felt wrong in my soul when I said it.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Is a drop for me. This is a guy who, yes, he's the number 2 prospect on baseball's top 100 list. It feels like he's been in baseball's top 100 list, top 10 for a decade. Now, it hasn't been that long, but it feels that way. And I feel like his stuff is at a price point that is higher than it should be for the fact that he has still not gotten a call up. And he's still not gotten a call up, and he's in the minor league system for a bad team. If you're not aware, he's in the Mariners system. That's a bad team, and he's not getting a shot. It doesn't make sense to me unless the Mariners know something that we all don't. I'm not putting any money into Julio Rodriguez at this point.
Strong feelings there.
Got another one for you.
Yeah.
We're continuing that Reds theme for Jason. You can't tell we're Reds fans.
Yeah.
This is a weird one because he's not young. He's nothing crazy weird going on in his career. But we got to look at some things, and it was an interesting one. Joey Votto.
So Joey Votto is getting up there in years. He's been playing for a little while.
Yeah.
It's Bowman Chrome.
2008, right?
2008.
Yep.
Kind of was quiet the last few years. So the Reds signed this massive contract. What was it? $250 million over 10.
I mean, the guy's an NL former MVP.
But when they signed this deal, it was done the same time as the Brandon Phillips deal, and they essentially locked in a significant amount of years and a significant amount of dollars for that market into two players. And Joey Votto in the second half of this year has been on fire.
Yeah.
Just ripping the cover off the ball, stepping up in clutch moments. It's been really incredible to watch what's happening there. But when you think about Joey Votto, he's somebody that your Reds fans are a huge fan of. And outside of that, people be like, oh, yeah, I've heard of him. But by the time it's all said and done, this guy's borderline Hall of Fame material.
Another couple of really good years, and he is, I think, a likely Hall of Famer. If you're a fan of baseball and you watch baseball, Joey Votto's approach at the plate, he's one of the top probably 15 to 20 hitters, just pure hitters in the last 25 years. That's impressive.
So what are the numbers? So let's talk about this.
Shockingly affordable for his Bowman stuff.
Yeah, so 2008 Bowman Chrome PSA 10. The 10.
Base, not an auto, just his.
Yep. 130.
Yeah.
So now the Topps paper is at 250.
So if you guys aren't aware, Topps used to, in their sets, do draft picks the same year that their Bowman first came out. Topps hasn't done that for a long time, so that's why they're the same year.
Yeah.
So and that's considered his rookie card.
If Joey Votto really is this player that we're talking about, if he really is that caliber at 130 on a PSA 10, I'm going to say it's pop.
Yeah, I think that card could legitimately get to 240, 250. And if he gets in the Hall of Fame, it'll be more. It's not a short-term type thing.
This is a long hold. This is not a Castellanos deal.
Right.
This is and I think especially just what we've seen towards the end of this year, I think keep an eye on the sold prices. Take a look at the last couple weeks. I would almost kind of wait to see what happens over the next month or two. Towards the end of the season, after the season's over, you may be able to see a little bit of dip. You see that with everything. Tom Brady rookies at the end of after winning the Super Bowl, his cards went down.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. But I think if it's a long hold, find the right price. Go get that PSA 10. Again, if you're looking long hold, get the graded 10. I'm big on that. Short term, flipping the raw, unless you can find a raw and you know how to pre-grade and you know that it's going to grade well.
That's the key.
That's really hard to do online.
Yeah, you need to go. I'll tell you where you're going to find some of those Joey Votto cards raw. Go to not your local card shop necessarily, but every town, every decent-sized city has at least one, if not two, card shows that are small. They usually have less than 50 tables. And of those, and you're only going to find these guys at these shows. These guys don't go to the big shows because they're cheap and they don't want to spend the money on the tables for big shows. But there's small shows, and there's one in our area that is a honey hole. There are about 5 or 6 old dudes who put out boxes, and they have not repriced the cards in those boxes in 15 years.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter how
I
people
bought
are
Kevin
playing.
Durant rookies last year for $12 a piece. just sitting in boxes raw. That's where you're going to be able to find some of those, but go look at them. Now, the whole pre-grading thing only comes into play if the price is at or near comps.
Right.
If you can buy something that's in a grade of PSA 8 or 9 and you're buying it for 15% of comps, buy it. Buy it all day long,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So, but that's where you're going to be able to find those things.
Yeah, so might be a little bit Reds heavy on this episode, but
That's okay.
I'm
Reds
unapologetic
fans.
about it. All right.
We're not talking about Jonathan India or some of the other random dudes for the Reds.
I went in a little heavy. Don't get me started on Aquino.
You mean can't hit a curveball guy?
I don't even know how many Aquino rookies, variations, SPs,
I
super
do.
short prints,
I know how many.
rookie autos.
It's
I
a
went
lot.
all in. And then whenever it looked like he couldn't hit a curveball, I was like, this is a fluke. It's in his head. Double down. If at the
He's
age
27.
of 30 he figures out this off-speed stuff.
Oh, it's so many. And we were in so many case breaks. We split a case of Topps last year, Series 1. We bought a case, and we ripped the case together. We did a draft to figure out what teams we were going to have. I won't tell you how we determined the order. It's embarrassing for Jason. But he had the Reds in this draft, and so much Aquino, and he was so excited about it, and it's all worth 10 cents. He's just looking at me with hate and self-loathing right
Guys,
now.
I have in a monster box, I have a whole row that's Aquino. And it's all sleeved.
I saw a video on TikTok the other day. I follow a few different sports cards guys. We're on TikTok, by the way, guys. Ball Card
We're
Show.
on there. We're not
doing much with it, but we are there. Follow
we
us.
don't do anything on
If
it.
we get some followers, we will.
That's not how that
That's
works.
not how it works. But a dude had 4 monster boxes full of Andrew Luck rookies. He'd sunk like $500,000 into Andrew Luck, and then he retired.
So ironic.
It was. I'm not kidding. There was 200 slabs, like 100 autos, like 5 or 6 different one of ones. It was like $500,000 he put into Andrew Luck, and then he retired.
I mean, straight up till his day of his retirement, that wasn't a horrible decision.
No, and then he was just like, "Peace, I'm out."
So, funny story on that. My brother rarely goes to Colts games. Diehard Colts fan. He finally got to go to one. It's the one where he
he
retired.
retired. He had to watch Jacoby Brissett play instead. Oh, that's awful.
Shout out to Brad.
Oh man, good times. But yeah, the reality of it is you know what? That would be a fun episode. If you guys out there are listening, hop on Facebook, tell us the guy that you went heavy on that just did not work out at all.
Well, in our trailer, you talked about yours. You traded your Pete Rose rookie.
Oh yeah, for tons of Fernando Valenzuela. Now, I was 7 years old, so
Don't
I get a little bit of
justify
a
it.
pass. And for a minute, Fernando Valenzuela was a big deal. For a minute.
Yeah. Pete
Yeah.
Rose is all right. Okay, one more, and it's going to you before we wrap up here.
Okay.
Cade Cavalli.
Cade Cavalli. So, unless you are a deep prospector or you're a baseball junkie, you don't know who Cade Cavalli is. Cade Cavalli was a first-round draft pick for the Washington Nationals last year. His Bowman First is in draft from 2020, which is a tough product. It's an expensive product because there's a bunch of guys in it. Like, if you're going to buy a hobby box of that right now, you should plan on spending about $700. So it's a heavy product. But the dude rose from the beginning of this season till the 3/4 season update of the Baseball Prospectus Top 100. He rose 47 spots. I don't usually talk about pitchers too much, but this dude has filthy stuff. Not a long-term hold. I will never, ever tell you to go buy pitchers long-term until they've had a 10-year track record of success in the majors. But as a short-term call-up guy who could come up early and throw a no-hitter or throw some just filthy stuff for a few games and then you get out of it fast, Cade Cavalli is not a bad way to go. There's not much of his graded stuff out there to even get your hands on. Raw chromes are selling for about $5. His autos from that are selling for about 80 to 100.
60 for base auto.
60 for base auto, 80 to 100 for a refractor. You can get his 2021 stuff, which is his second Bowman autos, for $25. If you're buying second-year Bowman stuff, only buy autos. unless it's a dude who you believe is a true like Mike Trout generational type guy.
There's no way you know.
No, you don't know. So that's why I never suggest buying it. Buy unopened Bowman and open it and save it all, and then you'll have those when they happen.
Yep.
So Cade Cavalli for me is a pop for that reason. I think that he could come up and do what that kid. Who was the kid for the Diamondbacks last week in his first major league game through a no-hitter?
Oh, shoot.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
You guys all know who I'm talking about. And his stuff doesn't exist because he's a pitcher, and his stuff on eBay just went insane. His stuff went from like $1 to $200 overnight. So I think Cade Cavalli is that type of
Tyler Gilbert.
Tyler Gilbert. I knew it was Tyler something. I was wanting to say Glass now, but he's been around for a long time.
First start.
No hitter.
No hitter.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here.
Right? How's it get better? Who was the dude for the Reds that did that back in the 40s? Johnny Van Meter?
Yeah.
Is that who it was? He did it twice. So something like that. Anyhow, Cade Cavalli pop for that reason.
All right. That's it. Episode 9.
In the books, guys. Next week's a big one. Double digits. We never thought we'd see
Made
it.
it to 10.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I feel when I'm going to hit 50 before too long. It's like I never really thought I would get there.
Yeah, I still don't. And don't forget to go to Facebook and check us out on our Facebook group, on our page, Ball Card Show. If you want to go to our inactive TikTok, go there.
Yeah.
As always, we're a part of the Press Play Podcast Network. We hope you check out the other incredible podcasts
that are out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
There is a lot of sports stuff. If you're not into a lot of the other stuff that's on the network, there's probably 7 or 8 sports-related
Cleveland heavy
shows that are really, really good. And I don't just say that. I mean, one of our podcasts on the network is hosted by 2 former ESPN guys. Like, it's good stuff. Check it out.
Check it out. Bye.
Thanks, guys.